there. So we have everybody. So why don't we start with team 3? If you can share your homepage and receiving page scenarios. So who is working to share it?
Shubhangi here.
Okay.
Okay, Roger, Maya, Christy, can I share it?
Yes, Subhangi.
All right.
Yes.
All right. So why don't you do a screen share?
Are you able to see it?
Yep. We can see it.
All right. So we will start with the home page.
Mhm.
So the first scenario will be first page after entering the application. The requirement says whenever you enter the application, the first play you should see is a home page. So we'll have to check for that.
Okay.
Mhm. Then the another one is homepage should disseminate information about the application. That means user should get the notification about any maintenance or new functionality enhancement about the system.
So go back to that screen. So looking at here, right? When you say it gets any notification. So is that a different test scenario, or that's a step to confirm that like it's what all information is displayed into the homepage?
You're talking about the second one?
Yeah. Right. So when I go back and the way I read it, right, you're referring it to the notification.
Yeah, I was assuming that, yeah, actually it is a little confusing for me. So I was assuming that it should come, those news can come under this what's new list. That means the active list under here. Is that the case?
So to me, when you're saying it's a different scenario, tell me why in your mind that's a different scenario than your first page or when welcome text displayed. What's new article, right? So to me, all the 4 that you have shown here, they all are part of the same scenario, right? As soon as I log in, I should see all these 4 pieces of information. Is that not true?
This one, the first one is we are guessing that we want to tell that we want to check that once we log into the system or once we type in the URL and once we go into the system, the first page the viewer should see must be the home page.
I understand that. So that's what I'm saying. That's the first thing. But when I see the home page, right? On the same home page, I will see it, the welcome text, I will see the new articles, and I will see it, whatever the notification is present, right? I don't have to do anything different.
Okay.
Right? Or do you do it anything different?
No, I think the two would come in under one only. So once the URL typed in and once we go into the system, the home page should display and then again it should disseminate the information about the application and welcome text should be displayed, can come under the one scenario. Yeah.
Right. So to me, right, all the first four bullets that you're sharing it.
Yeah.
Right. They are just the 4 verification steps. Is my homepage showing all these things? Is my homepage showing all these things?
Okay.
Right. Now history button, let's talk through it.
Here for new article, what's new article there, I feel like there is one scenario that what's new article should display only the active articles and not the historically archived articles. So I think that we should have to test for that.
Okay, so hang on. So, okay, let's hold off to those questions. Okay, I understand what you're trying to say it here. What's new article, right? So we'll have to figure it out how we're going to generate those scenarios, right? So that's a detail. We can talk through it.
Oh, shall I talk about that?
So you're saying three different things under what's new article, right? That only active article is going to display it.
Yeah. So only active articles should display on that page and not the historically archived ones. There are two types of articles.
Okay.
So on this page, only the active articles should display. And then whatever active articles are in the system, all of them should be displayed on this page.
Okay.
And another one is active articles not available. If there is no active articles, what message should be displayed or what will be the case in that?
Okay. So we'll talk more about that, but I understand at a high level, right? That you're what you're trying to say is the content getting displayed is the right content.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And then the history button.
History button, yeah. So clicking on the history button should navigate the user to the home history page.
Which will be the second set, right?
Yeah. So
okay. Can you flip and show us the history page button, history page view? Okay.
Yeah. So for this, we have another scenarios, home history page. So here only the archive news article should be displayed and not the active one.
Okay.
Display only historical archive news. And again, the all historical archive news should be displayed. And if the no historical archive articles are there, news are there, then what should be the scenario there? We'll have to check that. Means what message is displayed? Okay. Is there displaying any message or what? And again, it says display historical archive news articles should be displayed from newest to oldest. So in this case, I have two scenarios. If the dates are same and if the dates are different. So if different dates are there, it will automatically take those newer and older one. But if the dates are same, what will be the scenario in that case?
Okay, so is your date is just specific date or it's a date timestamp?
A date only? Oh, it's not mentioning anything about the time.
Okay. So you're going to test out the scenarios, make sure if you create two articles on the same date, what is the order in which it's displayed? Okay.
Yeah.
Now let's go back quickly to the previous page.
Okay.
Yeah, keep it what's new article and go back to the screen. Okay. Now, as a team, right? Help me understand if you have to test that the latest notification gets displayed. Do you know what all feature and functionality you have to work through it to display that?
Yeah. So we have to go on just let me go down. $132.
Are you referring to the admin menu items? It's a 132 page number. Yep.
Yeah.
132 or something.
Yeah, there only. So we'll have to come here first. User should. One thing I didn't understand from where the users are gonna sign in here on this system.
Oh, there is a security module altogether.
Okay. Okay. So
and the user details when you create it, one of the functionality is what all function they have access to it.
Okay. Okay. So first the user will log into the system and he will come to homepage news item page. Then he will click on add new item. And then the new page will open. The homepage new detail page will open. And then we'll have to fill up this information, title, text, and only one of these, either active or first I will do the both of the scenarios. One news I will do with active by checking the active button, and another one with historical archive button. In that case, there will be two news present in the system. Then I will go back to the home page again, and we'll check if the active news we recently created is displayed on the home page, and another news which is created for the historical archive is displayed on the historical archive page.
Okay, that sounds right to me. I mean, Dilip, do you have anything, any
Nope.
comment?
No, I
Okay.
just wanted to make sure they understand it, how
Yeah.
that information is going to do it, because
Right.
you wrote the test case, right? You
Yeah.
need to understand is like it's where the information is coming from. That's where the dependency. Remember when we were talking about when you read it, you read both dependent module in this to understand, define all the test cases. So you have the right sets of test cases, right? I just wanted to make sure you have an understanding. How did you arrive at that?
Yeah.
I think you have the exhaustive list of scenarios that anybody testing would have. I mean, I don't see anything missing. I mean, there is always something you can always add, but I
Yeah.
think these are the main scenarios you need to test it out.
Yeah.
Different sections and within different section, you're gonna do different activities or testing activities like archive, look at the different things over there, sorting order, and so forth.
Mhm.
See if they are showing up properly.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think you have that. Okay. So you have oldest to newest type of things and other things as well. So I think yeah, this is good. Yep.
Okay. Thank you. So another page we have.
Just want to make sure your team has reviewed, right? You guys worked as a
Yeah.
team as
Yeah.
well. And okay.
We work together.
We had a
Okay.
call together on Monday and we discussed everything and then we made the scenarios. Everybody.
Okay.
together.
Great. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Yep. Now we can move on to the receiving side of the, unless anybody has any question, feel free to, I mean, ask any question. Okay. If
Yeah.
if any
Raj-
other team has any question, bring that up as well. Okay.
Mhm. So for home, that first scenario, you're saying it should be one scenario, home page.
Yeah.
The display content wise only one page, but when you talk about, hey, I want to validate the content for the news is right, right? That's where she has identified 3 different scenarios:
Yeah.
archive content, non-archive content, empty content, what should be displayed, right? Then the
Yes.
second one is like, it's essentially what happens if I don't have any of those,
Yeah.
right? So she has the right scenarios, just that making sure you understand how you arrive at it and why you arrive at those and what you're going to do to test them.
Okay.
Okay. Maya, Rogers, Christy, anybody would like to discuss about this or shall I go ahead?
No, you go ahead.
Ahead.
Okay. So another page is receiving page about this. So here vendor and customer. First about the vendor customer tab. So clicking on the lookup button should open the vendor lookup list. That we'll have to check if it's opening or not. Another one is selecting one vendor customer from the list. And we'll have to check if we select vendor or one of the vendor or customer from the list, is it getting displayed over here? Then another is selecting 1+ vendor from the list and checking what happens. Then another is not selecting or keeping the field blank. Then required vendors not available. And if shipment comes from some vendors, and what if the vendor or customer is not available in that list? So what we'll have to do that in that case? Do we have to go and add the new one and then again come back to the list and again enter into that field?
Okay. So okay, let's go on. I'll hold my question till later. Okay.
Okay. Check if only the selected. Yeah, and once we this one is check if only the selected vendor customer is getting displayed. Means when we select the vendor customer from the list, is the same one is getting displayed on the field over here or not? We'll have to check that. List should display all the vendor customers, and yeah, this list should display all the vendors customer available in the system. Shall I go ahead about this PO number?
Yes, go ahead.
A PO number, it's not a required field. as per the requirement, but then also you'll have to check for the different scenarios like blank, special character, number, alphabet, and alphanumeric. Same with shipping and tracking, it's not a required field, but then also you'll have to check with these ones, blank, special character, numeric, alphabets, and all. Then the package type, this one, skid, case, and box. Select one package type. Once we select one package type, selected package type button should change the color, and it should stay selected until another package type button is clicked. We'll have to check for that. Next one is selecting multiple, and another case is we'll try to select multiple package types. That means skid also and case also. 1+ buttons at the same time. If it's getting, will it accept like that? We'll have to check for that.
So that's your negative scenario, right?
Yeah,
You are
negative.
testing. Okay.
Invalid.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
And that not selecting any package. And what if we don't select any of the package type and go ahead for saving or canceling or done button? What happens?
Okay.
And the another one is package type. And what if the package type is other than skid, case, or bags? I'm not sure about this scenario, but if the package type comes apart from skid, case, and box, what should be the case in that case? Like that, will it be a scenario?
So your requirement does not include that, right? So I'm not sure how you can handle during the testing process, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Because the screen doesn't allow it, so it will force you to select one of that. Even if it's a different packet type, you have to go with one of them. So you will not be able to execute, because if something comes in, because the system scope is only these 3 packet types. So
Okay.
So that's something you won't be able to execute.
Yeah. Now the quantity one, this one. So quantity one is a required field. So we'll check for positive number, negative number, alphabet, special character, alphanumeric, blank, 0, and decimal numbers. For different numbers, we'll check.
Now, what does it say in the requirement? Is it a text field? What is it?
It's a text.
Okay, so it will allow all kind of fields, but I think we clarified that it needs to be numeric only, right? In the one of the discussion earlier, that field needs to be numeric only. That's the one we clarified during the last Thursday session or whatever, Saturday. Yeah.
But then also we'll have to test this scenario.
Yes, you have to test it. Yes. You need to test it, see what happens. Yes.
Okay, but only positive should be for the numeric, or all other fields should be negative.
No, just a positive number, it should allow. Yes.
Yeah. Now this process another button. So clicking on the process another button saves the current data to the system. We'll have to check is it saving or not. The user should stay on the same page after clicking that. And then all fields become blank to receive or add another shipment information into that. Click process another button by providing data. And now we have to provide all the information in all the fields, and then we'll have to click the process another button, and we'll have to check what happens. Then another scenario is click process another button by providing data only in the required fields. Another one is click process button without any information in any of the field. Next one is click process another button without selecting vendor or customer, as it is the required field. And same with quantity, as it's a required field, we'll check with that. Click process but another button without selecting quantity.
Okay, so is that different than the required fields by providing all data, or do you have, I'm not sure, you have like a blank to receive, add all fields becomes blank. So last scenario, right? So are you expecting different result? Process another button without selecting quantity?
Blank means all the fields we are keeping blank, means even vendor and customer.
I see. Okay, so you're gonna have all and nothing selected, you're gonna click on process another to see what happens. Okay.
And here we are giving vendor, customer, and other fields, and only not giving the quantity.
Okay, so your title just needs to be a little bit clear, right? What is that in the last scenario? What exactly you are testing? Process another without selecting quantity, but you are supplying other fields, right?
Yeah,
So you
yeah,
just need to that title needs to be a little bit clear, right?
yeah.
That's all. But I think it's a valid scenario. Okay.
Okay. Now the cancel button. Clicking on cancel button navigates the user to the home page. Data should be saved to the system.
So those are verification items. Okay,
Yeah.
those are not really scenarios, but you will verify to what happens when you click on the cancel button. That's what you mean, right? Because they are not separate scenarios.
These
Scenario is somebody is clicking on cancel button, right?
Okay, okay.
But the verification would be what's supposed to happen when you do the cancel.
Okay, so we don't have to write the test case for these two?
No, those are verification steps, right? If you are on a happy scenario, happy path, kind of like a positive scenario, you should navigate back to the home page. That's what you need to verify, and data is not saved if you entered anything on the system in the form. So your scenario needs to be you enter the data and you click cancel and make sure you are on the ending up on the home page. That's a verification, and the data is not saved. Now, if you did not enter anything, that's you could have a second scenario, which says I am on the empty form page. I click on cancel, and I should just go back to the home page. Nothing is saved in the system at that point because I did not enter anything.
Okay.
Right. So your scenario needs to be a little bit clear here. What are your scenarios, and so forth. So I think the last three you can technically call that scenario. Okay, but the first two are more like a verification step.
Yeah.
They are not really scenarios. Okay. Similar things on the previous one as well, because you are verifications what you are verifying on the other one, process another, right? So those are the verification stuff.
So only clicking, and what if system gets changes with that, that will be the test case.
No, for every click you need to verify certain things. Now what you need to verify depends on what you filled out and what you did not fill out. So your verification will change in the previous scenario.
Okay.
Because it had four things happens, right? User stays on the same page. It says button saves the information.
Yeah.
All field becomes blank. That's something you need to verify. So if you are on a happy path scenario, if you filled out everything properly, then those three things should happen. Now, if you did not provide all the information, then you should have a different verification step.
Yeah, correct.
So for every scenario, you will have different verification in the process another button. But in the cancel button, outcome should be same. You need to be on the home page and nothing should be saved in the system.
Yeah.
Whether you filled out the form or not, right?
Okay.
Okay.
So shall I read this? Click cancel button and all.
Anybody has any question?
So in other words, you're talking about the expected results, right?
Yes, yes. Those are expected result behavior, right? Because you are verifying the behavior of the system.
Okay.
And it clearly states those two things needs to happen on the cancel button. So, yep. Whether you filled out the information or not, yes, those are valid scenarios. All three are valid scenarios. Okay. By providing data in the required fields or providing data in all the fields, again, you want to have those two separate scenarios, or you can live with just providing the required fields and clicking cancel, because behavior would be same in both first one and third one. Okay, for the cancel button. Right, because you are expecting to go on the home page, even though you enter data, it will not supposed to save.
Yeah.
Right, first one and third one for the click cancel. Okay, that's what I'm referring to. So you can just have two scenarios or three scenarios. It's up to you how you want to write it. But essentially, those will be duplicate, sort of, kind of like it does the similar things. Okay.
Okay.
So
The done button, same like cancel. Only.
Yep. So similar things. Yes, behavior. What you are verifying, they shouldn't be part of the scenario.
Correct.
But when you write the actual test case, yes, you need to lay down all the things. How you going to verify it, and what's supposed to happen? That would be verification.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and what about keyboard? Do we have to write for keyboard also? because
So keyboard is a separate part, right? They made so if you have one test case that can test out or one scenario that test out the different functionality of the keyboard, you don't have to repeat with every screen.
okay,
Because always available at the bottom, right? On no matter what screen you are on. And when you click on keyboard, it needs to pop up so that you can type it in.
yeah,
So it's not relevant to the functionality. Basically, it's a functionality on its own for the system. So you don't have to repeat for every module, keyboard things.
Okay. Yeah, so that's it for us.
Okay, so like, can you scroll up again? Let's see if you covered everything. If you go to the screen, sorry, go to the screen. So done, cancel, and receiving. Yeah, go ahead, Dilip. You have any thoughts?
I was just trying to like, it's figured it out, done, cancel in there. Now, did you, Harshal, we talk about the keyboard click and touchscreen thing?
Yes, he has it over there.
Okay.
I mean, as part of her scenario, but I mean, it can be separate on its own because that functionality needs to be available for all the modules. So
yeah, so for just mindful, right? So when you bring it the keyboard, then you should be able to select it, and it's a touch screen. So okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to, like it's as you were talking through it, just thinking through this.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't see
But I
anything
think it's
missing here.
I would just say is that the group has done a good job
Right.
comprehensively, like it's identifying what all we needed, right? And as you go through it, you will learn it. You will probably add one or two more test cases, but you have covered all the bases by thinking through it, what you needed it, right? Even in the positive scenarios, test scenarios, what if like you click 3 dots, are you showing it up everything? What should be shown up? So
Yep.
Yeah.
Now just making sure you have the detailed test steps as you go through it, the process, and expected results, right? And if there are certain data is not there, you need to have a comprehensive understanding of how you're going to create, right? Because compared to our flow, right, this is a little bit different, just like what we talked earlier, right? You have 3 different scenarios for the news. Well, how are you going to generate the data for those 3 scenarios? Same way, you have different scenarios here. How are you going to generate the data to show it when you click on certain things, is the vendor shows up or not, whether the customer shows up or not, type of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, Subhangi, you can stop sharing. And we can move on to the second module. I think you guys, as Dilip said, I mean, this is a comprehensive list, what you guys came up with. Okay. I don't see anything missing, basically. Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Let's see, the most logical would be the cartridge inventory, folks. So we can see who has that module. And I think it's a team 2, Mika, Rohini, Navina, and Deepa, I think. Yep.
Yeah, hi. So I'll be starting off with the presentation.
Yes.
And
yes,
my
go
team
ahead,
is
Navina.
going to back me up and take it up later.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Part of it is the top is kind of covered, and now we can see the whole thing.
Yeah. So, so our first requirement is from 6.7, that is the cartridge inventory page. And the first requirement that we
Navina, can you flip to the requirement first? See what you are talking about. Okay. Okay. So this is the. Yep. Okay. You can.
You're talking about this.
Yes. Okay. Gotcha. All right. Okay. Yeah, it's a very busy screen, so there should be quite a few scenarios here. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now you can go through it.
So while going through, we looked at a broader picture here, and we focused on the business process more while writing our requirements. So to begin with, we started off with a user can add information about shipment into inventory, new or existing. So that is the requirement that we came up with. And I'll show you a diagram that we worked on.
Okay.
Yeah, can you see it?
Yes, yes. I mean, I can read it. I'm not sure about others, but yeah.
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah. So we started off with add new shipment from start button. And when we click on it, we expect that, shipment with one cartridge. We have two scenarios over there: shipment with one cartridge and shipment with multiple, that is 1+ cartridges. And under shipment with one cartridge, we have the following criteria that we need to check. That is weight in compliance, weight not in compliance, OEM, non-OEM, warranty eligible, warranty not eligible. Because when we were looking at the process over here, we thought that these were the main factors which decided on the print label cartridge, so a cartridge inventory process. That is one that is there under shipment with one cartridge. And the second one is shipment with multiple 1+ cartridges. We have two wings there again. One has identical shipment. When we click on the identical shipment button, existing data is to be submitted to the system. And second scenario would be clears out the fields, that is weight, damaged, warranty eligible, and warranty ID number. And third scenario would be fields not cleared.
Okay. Now those are verification steps, right? So I'm not sure why you are mentioning them as a scenario, because what happens is like you are processing shipment, right? In this scenario, let's say you have more than one. So you're gonna take that in and you're gonna start processing cartridges. Let's say assume there are 5 cartridges, right? So you enter the information and you will fill out details, and at the end you will say identical shipment. Is that how you thought, or you thought something else?
Sorry, can you please come again?
So you have shipment with 5 cartridges. So somebody is processing, whoever has access to that module, that user will access this cartridge inventory, and they will start processing one by one, right? With those cartridges.
Yeah.
And when they are done with the first one, they will basically come here, basically on the screen at the bottom, they have identical shipment.
Yes.
Right. So that's what, and that's what your scenario is about, right?
Yes.
If they have in this scenario, when they have more than one cartridge in the shipment,
okay.
There's a possibility that there will be at least one identical shipment, right? At least one identical cartridge in the shipment.
Yes, yes. But yeah, you can assume your scenario, right? With one identical or 2 identical, doesn't matter, right?
Yes. So it has to be at least one. Like in this case, it will just have to be used like as a verification, just because the processing step and the test steps are going to be a little bit different from the rest of the steps. And that's why we differ them and like put them as like at least one identical. It's just like something like we didn't like put verbally correctly. So
sure. Now 3 items listed below identical shipment. Are you guys calling that as a scenarios? Is that what you guys, because that's what I heard. So I just want to make sure.
Yes, so they will be like the smallest scenarios, just because the behavior of the window is going to be slightly different. So they will be like a different outcome for each of those steps. And that's why we decided to just like, to like put them separately. It's just like so much in that windows. Yeah. There's so many like small elements in the window.
Would you be able to test that separately? I mean, because I'm not sure how would you test this? If you are a user, imagine you are a user and you're gonna process one cartridge and it's identical shipment, right? So you click on identical shipment button. Now what you plan to do afterwards? So you will have what is that? Data is submitted to the system. So you're gonna verify data is submitted to the system, and you stop at that point. Okay, then you will go through second cartridge, process second one, enter information about that, and then you will verify that the clearing out the fields are cleared or not.
Yes.
Is it possible? I mean, so for you to break that down, because that's what I'm trying to understand here.
It's just we were trying to like see if it's going to affect anyways. Because overall, like for this whole 6.7, we're checking like the processing if it's going to be like if it's going to be eligible for the processing or not in general and get into the inventory. And once we'll have like if it's going to be eligible for the inventory and it's getting received for the from the shipment, it just like has like the final point of getting the label printed. But along like when we are putting all the data and we have like multiple points that are actually required and they have to be in the system, and without that the cartridge is not going to be saved into the inventory. Some of the things like the fields, you know, if the identical shipment is not going to create and populate like all the data from the previous one, so we have to test that if it's gonna just like have all the same data or not. And then we'll try like want to test like if the clearing the fields is gonna work and see like if the button is going to be functional, and as the outcome if the fields are going to be cleared or not.
Okay, so you will have different scenarios, but what I'm trying to say is you won't be able to separate out those 3 different outcomes or verifications in 3 different scenarios.
Well, we're hoping so.
Well, that's because if you just verify that data is submitted to the system and you don't verify whether the fields are being cleared out appropriately, then that scenario fails. I'm not sure why you would need a separate scenario to test out three things.
Just identical shipment in general and have it as a large bulk. Would you think that would just suffice?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat the last piece? What you said?
Do you mean that we would need just a one bulk scenario just to having tested if the identical shipment is going to be added into the main scenario or not? Because we were contemplating just because there's so many elements on the page.
Yes, yes.
Each element has so many events and they are triggered by like, you know, this and that, and they depend on what combination we're going to use. Well, that is shown like on the left side of this diagram of the tree. If there's a weight in compliance, non in compliance, if original, non-originable, warrant eligible, not warrant eligible, and that creates like multiple combinations of the activities we can use, just because some of them are going to be active and some of them are not.
Well,
but
yeah,
go ahead, Dilip. Yeah.
So here is one of the thought process for you to do it. I understand that, right? So if you can switch back, it's Navina, you're sharing screen, right? So if you can switch back to the screen, right?
This one?
Yeah. So the way I would think about it is first figure out which are the actual business event related type of activities on the screen, right? Then you can figure it out what are the non-business, which are the field specific event, right? And you can categorize those 2 things. First thing, it's like it's a business event, right? So you can just easily say it's that, hey, my cancel and done button is one set of business functionality, right? I would also set it up reset form. When I click on a reset, does it do that? What does it mean by clicking set default, right? So those are the 4 things that you can start thinking around organizing your work around it. And then identical, different, and from start. Those 3 are specific business functionality. What it means to process an identical cartridge, what it means to process a different cartridge, and what does it mean when somebody clicks a from start, what should happen?
So should we create different scenarios? Should we take each button as a requirement?
Yes, each button should be your possible scenarios, right? The tree.
Okay.
Now, within that, right, when you say it's okay, now what else I will be able to do it, right? So that's one set of a business function tree. The other is you can talk about the validation function tree. So by validation function tree, I mean it is what if you click on the 3 dot next to customer or vendor? Does that functionality work?
The
What if you
lookups, yeah.
click the 3 dots next to the shipment works? What if you click on shipment complete? Well, what does that mean? Right? Same thing for category, right? And then you can say, hey, all I want to do it is process a color cartridge. Can I do that? Right? So within identical, I can do a process a color cartridge, or I can process a mono cartridge. What happens when I select manufacturer?
This is something we started with, and then we decided to make a one single tree and try to branch it out.
Well, here's the problem though, right? If you make it a one big and then put all of them as a steps within that scenario, one fails, you don't know which one failed. Right? So you need to be granular enough so that you can just say, hey, everything but this particular screen or this particular function is not working.
Yeah, everything else other than identical, different from start, whatever buttons Dilip talked about, everything else is just a data elements, right? So instead of you selecting from a drop-down list like mono or color or checking a checkbox, they have given you buttons. But it's essentially those are data elements, and they have some behavior associated with it because they are buttons.
We can just take the required fields that are there among the elements, like customer, the field that has from category, and then the shipment number and the category itself was manufacturer and manufacturer number. Those are the required fields along with the weight, and we can principle build the scenarios just along those fields.
That's where I would start. I would not say that's the only. That's where I would first focus on it. And then I would focus on, as Harshal pointed out, is the data entry validation type of things, right? The key aspect is, what if I it's pick the weight different? Does this, the bar turns a green versus red, right? What happens when I select something as a warranty eligible? Where do I see it? Because each one has a different outcome, right? Whether something is not warranty eligible versus something is warranty eligible goes into different process flow later on. So I would focus on those business cases versus, as Harshal pointed out, yes, it is there, work and sales order number. I can test it to say if it's required field or optional field, but that's not going to be that much critical as to I selected whether it is a damaged cartridge or not.
So other team had each individual field, right? So other field had like a five different things. Wow, can I enter number? Can I enter leave it empty? Or can I enter alphanumeric, right? So you can, for every field that you see here, that you can have those scenarios. But again, you have to list it out or create a tree separately for those things for every field. Okay, but what we talked about is focusing on the business process. Hey, can I enter identical cartridge, and what happens when I press the identical? If I enter required fields, what happens when I do identical? Basically, will I be able to move forward or not? Right? If I don't have all the required fields. Plus, what is the verification? The items that you mentioned, scenarios, like 3 different things or 4 different items, they are part of one scenario. You need to verify all 3 or 4 things. Without that, your scenario will not pass or fail. You can't really tell it's passed or failed. So if you flip back, well, I think I can show you what I'm talking about to your diagram here.
Yeah.
For the identical one, right? So you have under identical shipment, you have 3 things. I think the data is submitted to the system. Then what is it? Clears out the field, whatever the fields that you listed. And the last thing happens is fields not cleared, then it's obviously failed. But those 2 things has to happen in order to pass the identical scenario,
Yes.
right? So it's part of one scenario. They are not two separate things that you can do.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. I think that's the same thing applies to the different shipment. You need to verify everything together. What does it mean when you say
Mhm.
different shipment, right? Those rules that are part of the different shipment events. You need to validate all the make sure it happens when you click on different shipment.
Got it. So regarding the defaults and the reset button that you were talking about, we have a requirement here.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
So
A
those
user.
are the three, I would say, expected behavior, right? When you click on that button.
Mhm.
Yeah, so those are not two different scenarios. Scenario is one which says a user fills out things and click on reset. What happens? That's what you are verifying. And those two things will happen under clear out.
Yeah.
Yeah, data field is not cleared from the previous one.
Now, if you
Okay.
think about, right, so under the B, you have written two scenarios. Isn't the first one fails, it automatically shows the second one,
Right.
right? So it's only one scenario or one test case.
Yeah.
Just that absence of one is presence of the other.
Yeah. So the second one need not be put there.
All right, you don't need that.
Right.
The
Yeah.
failure of first one indicates the second one.
Okay. Okay. And regarding the set defaults button, does it
Right.
look
So
fine?
when you see
Same
it,
thing.
right, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, that's not a separate scenario. It's those are the three activity happens on that particular thing. Right.
Mhm.
So it is C, the whole 1, 2, as well as 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3. It's all one scenario. What happens when you set on the default buttons? There are 4 things happen. Here are the 4 things which happens.
So user is navigated, input data in the fields. What is that? Are you saying a clear, or I'm not sure what the 1.1 says?
No, so what we meant to say is, once we are redirected to the customer and vendor defaults page on clicking the set defaults button, so we have to input data into these fields and then save the page so as to set the default for that particular customer or vendor.
Okay, so that's to me,
yeah, separate.
it's a detailed step information,
Yeah.
but it's not a separate than deleting the data that has been input in the field. Right? So 1.1 and 1.2 did not make sense to it. On the one side, you're saying that, hey, I'm going to input all this data and click on the save the page. Then I'm clicking the delete the data that has been input to the field. So think about it. What happens if somebody just goes into that screen, enters a whole bunch of information, and then clicks that default button? That's one scenario. Second scenario is somebody goes to that page and nothing is entered and clicks the set defaults button. What should happen?
Got you.
Right? To me, those two are two different scenarios within C.
Okay.
Right? Same thing for the B. Right? Somebody enters that all the information and click on reset button. Does any of that information get saved? And if somebody don't do anything and click on the reset button, what happens? Right? Data, no data scenario.
Yeah.
Both for a B and C.
Got it.
Okay. Yeah, I think what you guys have listed out is verification. I think that's what sounds like to me. Most of the times looks like on other scenarios as well. So if we scroll down, now let's see what else you guys have. Using picture feature. Okay, so this is the picture one. Okay, so you are testing whether they can select the correct manufacturer using a picture feature. Okay. Now, what action they need to do? You haven't specified it, right? And what will trigger that action? So there gotta be something that they are clicking, right? So what happens when they click on select manufacturer or something, which shows or show images? I think that's what the button is referenced.
Yes,
Show pictures. Yes.
selection
Pictures.
button from manufacturer. Yes.
Right. So that's what you are testing. So you just clearly say that, yep, user is trying to select, basically click on show pictures. That's the scenario you are testing. Now, when you are writing detailed steps, that's where you need to have all the details. What will it trigger if I don't fill out any manufacturer or anything, or any other details? That's something you need to test. That would be scenarios you want to think about. What if I empty form, I click on show pictures, what will it do? What if I filled out all the information, I click on show picture, what happens at that point? Okay, so there's some work over there. I think
Yeah.
just clarification type of thing, or rewriting, rewording certain things.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. Just scroll down. Core image display. Okay. I don't think we give you guys the image portion of the requirement, because it's a bit too much. Okay. For you guys in short period of time. So ignore the image part. I don't think that was listed. Maybe you guys
Yeah.
thought it is part of the inventory module, so you just took it probably.
No, I think we were told 6.7
Yeah.
and 6.8.
So
Yes, it had like
Harshal, that is there, right? So their aspect is when they click on that image, they are able to see it, the core image or not.
Okay. Okay.
So it is
Gotcha.
part of the whole inventory itself. When I'm inventorying it, I'm trying to find it, which is the right cartridge to inventory.
Right.
So one of the image displays, and we said to do that functionality.
it's just one window.
It's just a one window,
Yep,
one
yep.
screen, right?
Gotcha.
So you click on it, that's what it is. Well, Harshal, what you're thinking is the detail one where I'm defining cartridges.
Right. Yeah, cartridge list. That's part of the
Right.
cartridge list. Yep.
There we go.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay. So for now, I think core image display, that's okay because that's the simplest scenario.
Yeah.
Now I don't see the other scenarios which I would have expected as well, like warranty processing, the weight calculation, warranty eligibility, and so forth. Do you guys have those
Okay.
scenarios, or you guys did
We
not?
discussed it multiple times, but like we mentioned, we were trying to just like, build like that was the main thing, like that was my fault
Okay.
actually, because we
Okay.
thought that we would rather like build one tree and we'll make a multiple
I see.
branches, and just because we have that one single chart for the processing. And we were just trying to branch it out and see like if this is even possible, and then we got like lost in the middle, so we spent more lot time just trying to make it like less, instead of making like a whole bunch of like list of smallest scenarios and trying to make
Okay. Gotcha. Okay, so you guys have some work to do. Looks like
Yeah.
part to basically rework maybe some of the scenarios and stuff based on our
There is a
discussion today.
request here.
Okay.
Kind of have the trees. So if you could look at it and tell us what to do, that would be great.
So I mean, see, I mean, trees are trees, right? I mean, so whatever your thought process works. I mean, the other team presented in a simpler manner, right? They are just listing it out. You don't have to draw much thing, but as a team, pick a section by section, right? I mean, those events, we ask you to look at those events. Those are important business processes for identical and all those things. So at least bare minimum, you can go through just a screen quickly, identify what are the things that you would test as a tester. What are the core features of that particular screen that you want to test? Now, other things like individual fields, I'm not looking at that. I mean, but other team had it, right? I mean, they had like a numeric and all those things, which is exhaustive. Because they had smaller screen, maybe. So they came up with a lot more details for that. But if you can't do that, that is fine. But at least I would expect the warranty eligibility and other things, right? Because those are part of the core business functionality.
Rohini, do you want to share yours?
Yeah, we did warranty eligible, right?
You have that in the downloads, right? Like, do you have the document? You could show it, you know?
You had mailed, right?
Yes, yes. Check yesterday's and before that too. Yesterday's one is better.
You guys have gone through that as a team, right?
Yeah, we did.
Yes,
Okay.
we talked about it, and then like we came up, like we met 3 times, I think.
With
Sure.
6, 7, we actually met specifically three
Okay.
times, and we were like still arguing between like different things, and then like we were going like, this has to be
Sure.
done, and they are not included. Maybe it does not make sense.
Is this the one, Rohini?
And also a day before that too,
Second page.
that has the detailed
Yeah.
functionality
Yeah.
about the weights.
Just scroll down. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. Can you see it?
Yeah, it's coming up.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
Yep, I can see it. I mean, yep.
So can you flip to the actual requirements document for a minute?
Just a second.
It's on page 23. At 22.
23.
Yeah.
This one? This is fine, right? Yeah.
Yeah, 22. Yeah. We started 22. Yeah. And 23 is the next page.
So from start is a button at the bottom,
Yeah.
right? It's identical, different than from start. Okay.
So
Yeah.
uh,
Why isn't this screen
if
going
you
on?
go to the screen.
Just a second. This pop-up is not going up. Yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So you want to speak about it, Navina?
You can.
So here, this from start is the button that we started with. It's going to give you a blank screen.
Okay.
We are not looking at the validations because the mask is going to be there, right? Even though it's not there. Client-side validations are going to be done by the mask. So we did not focus on that. So
Well, when you say it will be done by mask, remember, mask is implemented on each screen. You still have to test it to see if the mask is working as expected or not.
yeah, but then we thought of focusing on core functionality because
That's okay. That approach is right? I'm not saying it's don't have to do it. All I'm just saying is that when you made a comment that you let the mask do its task, you still have to test the masks, whether they're working or not. Okay.
So then the possibilities would be we are testing is with valid data. That would be one option. No data at all, like empty screen and hitting the save button, or there are different buttons, right? We could choose those, or we could fill out few of the required fields, and then that would be missing data. So under valid data, we chose only the required fields. And we are going to get into the, we are going to check the weight because the whole functionality is based on the weight. So we divided into 2 parts: weight in compliance. That means the cartridge is normal weight, or if it's out of weight. If it's weight in compliance, and then it's going to be, then we could check, is it an identical cartridge or different cartridge? And there is another button, shipment complete, because I am at the reach the last cartridge.
So can you do a favor? if you have the requirement up, right? Let's go to that identical shipment complete in different events when what happens when they press those buttons.
Yeah.
Okay. So think of this way. The approach, what you're trying to do is when I look at your tree, right? Let's look at the identical button, right? Because it's an easy and it's smaller to read it, right? So when I read the identical button, right, what it does, it does two things, right? It first submits the data that I put it in the system, and then it goes out and clears all but the 4 fields, or just clears out 4 fields and keeps everything else, right?
Yes, that's
So
correct.
go back to now so with that understanding, you go back to your tree.
How do I remove this pop-up? I mean, it goes on its own.
Just click somewhere, see if it goes away.
Just drag it. You should be able to move it down for a moment. No, not that.
I think you have.
Let me go here.
Yeah. Okay. So now when you scroll down a little bit.
So yeah, I know where you are getting.
Right. So now if I do it identical shipment complete and different, if I hang it up from the weight is in compliance.
So that should be on the top. Is that what?
Right. So think of those 3 are your core functionality. The way you have laid it out, that those functionalities are not the core functionality. Those are a hangoff from the validation of the field, whether the weight was in compliance or weight was not in compliance.
Got it.
Right. So you have to think it differently. The way I would do it is I would start with the core functionality first, and then create a separate tree for the validation and invalidation of the field level activities.
So for every field, you might have like a weight, right? You pick one field, the weight or warranty eligibility, right? The whatever the
just
barcode or
call
something.
like one bulk
Yeah,
scenario, so
yeah,
then data
yeah,
validation and have branches for each
Yep,
field.
yep.
Right.
But when you do identical,
Makes
you
sense.
can go with the positive. Basically, assume everything else is working. You are doing the identical because your focus is, hey, when I do identical, what
If
happens?
it pops up the same information.
Right.
Right. So that's the way you want to approach this type of complex screens. You always break it down, right? Bigger problem into smaller problem. That's the same approach here.
So
do one thing at a time.
Yes, we were just trying to make like less scenarios, just because there is still like one aim to have, the cartridge checked into the inventory. So we thought that will be a lot less possible like processing scenarios, and then we just kept trying to accomplish that instead of making a list of since there's like 24 actions. We didn't want to make a list of 24 scenarios, and we were trying to avoid that just because that would be kind of like too much. But if we will take the validation and make it as a one scenario, it's gonna reduce drastically the elements and the actions then.
So I disagree, Bika. Right? You're still, because if there are 24 actions, you're going to have at least 24 scenarios.
Minimum.
Right? So that's where I would still focus on it. Where I would focus on it is, can you isolate each action as an independent actions, or do you need to have a dependent actions? In this case,
yes, that's what I meant.
Identical is that, right?
Yes,
also, while you are still getting your bearing as a quality assurance person, I would lean towards size of defining it explicit test cases instead of reducing test cases. Once I write the steps, that's when you can start and says, oh, are this redundant or not? But if there is like 35 test cases that I come up with initially, I would write those 35. I would not try to say, can I do it a little bit better? And can I do this in 30 steps?
So we just technically I think we all overthought ourselves pretty much.
Yeah, I would not try to optimize it. I would try to first be a comprehensive first, and then worry about optimization.
Yep. And I can easily see more than 50 test cases for this page or the screen. It can easily go 50 to 100 in that number. If you are really doing exhaustive test, that's an easy number.
How much?
50 to 100, between 50 and 100. You will have different type of test cases.
With different
easily.
outcomes.
Yeah, so think of it, right?
That's correct.
All the actions you have, those are right there. For some actions, there will be positive, some actions that will be negative. Right?
Okay, so looks like you guys have some work to do. And I think you will get some time to work through it, but definitely work as a team if you get a chance, maybe tomorrow. If not, then Saturday we'll give you some time to flush out certain things as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So you can stop sharing.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
And we can move on to the next module, which is the warranty items.
Yeah, I think that would be team 1.
Team 1. Okay, great. So go ahead and share that, please.
Okay.
I think Anjali, you are the only one representing your team. Looks like Nicole is out. I think Elsa is. I'm not sure whether she is here.
Yes.
But I think you went through the receiving, right? So hopefully you understood what is there and what needs to be corrected on your end. Okay. But if we get a time, we'll take a look at the admin codes and parameter. Okay, at the end.
Can everyone see my screen?
No, it's not there.
No, it's not there. How about now?
No, still no screen.
Oh.
I think when you click on share, you have to click on share again.
Okay,
on the pop-up.
yeah, whatever the button is.
Oh, okay. So do I click it twice then?
Yes.
You select first the screen which you want to share, and then bottom right there is I think
button.
either the share or OK button that you have to click it.
Okay. And now?
No.
No.
Okay. I think Rashmi, can you please, or maybe one of you, Rashmi.
Nadia, I will share the screen so you can go through that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yep,
You
it's
can
coming
see
up.
the screen now?
Yeah, we can see it.
Do you also have the requirement? Can you just flip to the requirement screen?
Sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, this is our requirement.
Okay, gotcha.
So this thing, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Warranty information, yes.
So it's warranty information, and yeah, so we made the test scenarios mostly keeping in mind the business rules and also the events, but we did cover most of the elements as well.
Okay.
So Jayashree, if you can pull up the.
Oh, sorry.
You can download actually document and leave it open if you want, so that you don't have to flip, close it or something like that. Yep.
So let's talk through your approach, right? So if this is the screen, let's go through that. So walk us through the 4.
So clicking on the warranty ID drop down, it has to show all the unprocessed warranty IDs that is generated from the cartridge inventory page.
Okay.
Can you go back to the screen and walk me through that first one when you say so all? So where do you?
So clicking on the 3 dots next to warranty ID, that has to have a lookup, which then needs to have all the warranty IDs that are unprocessed and which we get from the cartridge inventory page.
Okay. All right. So what is your scenario? So you are verifying so all unprocessed warranty IDs generated from the cartridge inventory page.
Yes. Yes.
So to verify that all the unprocessed IDs are listed basically in the list, right? That's what you are saying.
That's correct.
Okay.
So then second one is the warranty ID field. We just want to make sure that we cannot type in anything since it is a lookup field.
Okay.
So, and also the warranty ID number, we want to make sure that it can be clicked when we have the lookup field that shows up. And also when we click, we just want to make sure that a lookup field appears when we click on the 3 dots.
Doesn't show any drop down menu. Now, what's the last one here? Clicking on the A01 doesn't show any drop down menu.
Yes, we're just verifying that it needs to show a drop down menu, but I think we just wrote it as a negative scenario. But we just want to make sure that it has a lookup.
I understand the list verification. I understand the read only part, but I'm not sure about the last 2.
So when we click on the 3 dots and all the warranty ID numbers are displayed on that, we want to make sure that we can click on a particular warranty ID. So we want to make sure that we can select one. That is what the number 3 is.
Okay.
So that means it can be selected from the lookup, that we can select a particular warranty ID.
Okay, so and that is your last one. Is it what it is? While when clicking on A01 doesn't show any drop down.
No,
I'm not sure where the drop down menu is coming from.
No, I think maybe it's a wrong usage of word. Maybe
Okay.
I think it could have been a lookup field.
Okay, so it doesn't show any
Lookup field, like
lookup item, lookup
Yeah, lookup.
warranty ID lookup, right? List. That's
Yes.
what you are referring to.
Yes, yes.
I'm not sure if you need that scenario because it's kind of like a clicking on it doesn't show any lookup. It's a negative scenario, but if one of these fails, like first one or second one, then I mean that's that one. I mean automatically says, I mean, yeah, okay, it doesn't show, it's gonna fail at that point. So
Okay.
yeah, I think it's more like a redundant to me. I'm not sure, Dilip, what you are thinking, but
So don't we have to make sure that the 3 dots are working by when you click on it, that it needs to show up a lookup field? I mean, because we need to test all the elements as well.
Right, but the way that you've put it,
yeah,
it's probably not the way
yeah,
you will be able to test the functionality thoroughly, right? So the entire thing in this case, you're focused only on the warranty ID. And then you said that there are 4 different types of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you say it's when I clicking on A01, it doesn't show up any drop down menu. There is no drop down menus, right? Those are things which shows up on the right side.
Right. So like I said, I mean, maybe it's a wrong choice of word, but there should have been a lookup field.
Right. So that's, to me, it's only one scenario. When I click on 3 dots, where the thing shows up on the right hand side or not with the vendor and customers. Right?
warranty,
it either shows up or it doesn't show up.
Okay.
And then what shows up is based on what you have it in the system. And if you want to be explicit, you can say, hey, let me add a new customer. And when I click on it, does it show up?
Okay.
I mean, what Dilip
Right.
meant is when you create a new cartridge
Right.
inventory item and warranty eligible item, right? And it's see
Yeah.
if that new warranty ID shows up or not, right?
Appears
Right.
on the list. Okay.
Precisely. Okay. So then go back to the screen. Right. So now that's the first three things, right? So when I do the warranty ID, when I click on it, does it show up or not?
Right.
Okay.
But don't we have to also test that once the lookup shows, I mean, once the lookup is visible, then we can actually click on a particular warranty ID just to see if that function is
Well,
working?
that will be part of the steps, right?
Okay. So we don't have
Don't think as a separate steps, right? So I click on three dots. A lookup list of all the warranty ID showed up. If I select one of them, does that get populated here? That's a step,
In the warranty ID, yeah.
right?
So I have a
Think of
question.
it like it's, Madhuri, the way I kind of see it, if there was a drop down, right? You don't write a separate test case that I click on the drop down, it shows me all the item in the list. And then don't write another test case to say, if I select something from drop down, it populates the field.
Okay. So everything is in one.
This is the same thing, right?
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Maybe Jayashree, the next one. So this is with regards to the cancel button.
Just scroll up.
So what's your scenario here? So you are doing the cancel. Why do you have two arrows going in separately?
Because clicking on the cancel button, first one needs to go back to the home page. And also we're just making sure that the previously entered information, it does not get saved. So we just want to verify
So
that.
those two are not two separate scenarios, right? Those are the two verification you have to do it when somebody hits the cancel.
Right.
Both needs to happen. It's not one or the other.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I think we just broke down the verification into two parts that need to happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that team one had a similar mistake, right? So they broke down into multiple steps.
There are what all things that need to
Scenarios.
happen. Clicking
Yes.
on a
Right.
particular button.
So think of going back to the R-Flown, right? When I log in, right? There needs to be two action. I should successfully log in. And two, the home page is displayed.
Right.
This is the same scenario. There are two things happening when you click a cancel button. The first thing it is that it discards all the information that has been entered, right? And the second step, it happens that it takes you back to the home page.
That's correct.
Right? But it's one and same scenario.
So it just
Now,
comes into one. Okay.
Now here the scenario would be you entered some information. You might have warranty ID selected or something, or you have blank form, right? You can do click cancel activity on both of those.
Right.
So what happens in those? So you might have scenario for some data entered and no data entered type of thing, and see what happens.
Okay.
Same way that we talked about in the other team, right? Data and no data.
Right.
Okay.
In that scenario, you should have it for, if you go back to the screen, right? Think about it, whether you did the cancel or you did the ready to ship with data, no data, process as a core with data, no data, parts recovery, data, no data.
Okay.
Right? For all those four buttons, those are the two scenarios you have. Then you have validation on the field level, right? You talked about the warranty ID as the one of the validation scenario test case. the problems with the drum, like problem type and the defect, it's another scenarios.
Right, but Dilip, if you're canceling or with data or no data anyway, it doesn't have to save the data. It gets canceled anyway, right? So you cannot really verify
Right, but
whether it is with data or without data.
well, what you can just see it is if I don't do anything, right? If there is no data and if I hit cancel, right? It is not discarding anything. It just taking me back to the home page.
That's correct.
In the second scenario, if I have some data and I'm hitting cancel, then in those scenario, I want to validate that both the action happens.
Okay.
Right? I can't guarantee that if I'm doing it with the empty data. That's why those are two different scenarios.
Okay.
Yeah, because the developers, they might be triggering some rules based on some data elements, and some of the rules might get fired when you are doing cancel, and it will prevent you from going back to the home page at that point. So you, as a QA, you need to think of those scenarios, and those are very common scenarios. Okay, I mean in the testing or quality assurance world, um, those comes with some experience as well. But you have to have at least bare minimum those type of scenarios for the cancel, specifically the cancel buttons. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So Jayashree, if you can go to the third slide, please. So this one is about the category list.
Okay.
So we want to make sure that it displays all the available categories.
Can I stop you here? What do you mean by all available categories here?
That is the categories that have been created in the, which is the other module, just a minute.
Defect category list, is
Yes.
that what you are
Yes.
referring to?
Yes. Yes.
Now, will it show all the categories, or are there will be specific categories from that module? When you say all, are you saying all meaning what? Because there are active categories, inactive categories. What do you mean?
It should show all the active categories.
Okay, then you should say that show me all active available categories, right? All active categories here, right?
Okay.
So your scenario needs to be very clear what exactly when you say all available categories, okay? Because those minor details that can have bigger impact when you are actually writing the scenarios.
Okay. And so on selecting a category, it should change the color of the selected category. And if you select any other category, then it should change the color of the previously selected category. So basically, if you select another category, then the previous selected button has to change back. And the
So
new
is it one scenario, or that's two separate scenarios?
So it'll be two separate scenarios.
Okay, so on selecting, so I didn't see the line. That's the reason, because you should typically show it as a separate line.
Okay.
Because the scenario is you have a previously selected category and now you are selecting another category. That's your scenario.
Right.
Right. So that is what you needs to go in the title when you are writing your detailed test cases.
Okay.
Right. Because then the other one is outcome. After that, then it should change the color of the previously. That's just outcome of what happens with that scenario. That's what you are specifying. Okay, but it needs to have separate its own line over there. If that's what you are saying. Okay.
Okay. Okay. And then all the defects for the selected category should be displayed on clicking a particular category in the defects list.
Again, the active, inactive, that plays a part here, right? So you guys need to make sure you guys are identifying scenarios properly. Okay.
Okay.
Should I see all active defects? Should I see inactive defects? Or should I see pretty much everything, right?
Okay, but when we're writing this scenario, so we have to mention only with respect to the active ones. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's up to you how you're writing it, but if it makes clear, you should say active categories only, because that's what your scenario is about. You are testing for that. You are making sure that only active one shows up.
Right.
Right.
Okay. And also we want to make sure that we can select only one category at a time, and that two categories cannot be selected at the same time.
I think you had it right. Other one. Now here, I'm not sure about the last one. What you said here. So one category, you want to make sure only one category select. System will allow to select only one category, not more than one.
At a time, yes.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. I need to see the scenario. What you are. It's a valid scenario. You need to test it, but your verbiage is a little bit confusing to me here. So, okay.
Okay. I think for the next slide, Rashmi, would you like to talk about it?
Yeah.
Couple of slides.
So for the defect list A05, we have four scenarios. And the first one is selecting a defect from the list should change its color and should appear in the currently selected problems. That is E02.
Okay.
Yeah, and the second scenario is selecting another defect should change the color of the previously selected defect, and the currently selected problems should be updated accordingly, or whichever change was made.
Okay.
And the third one, unselecting the selected defect should change its color, and selecting a new defect should change the new defect's color and should be displayed in the currently selected problems. And
okay, so you have one defect selected, you are unselecting it, and then selecting a new defect. So you are expecting the new
there
defect
should be a color
selected.
change in the selected one.
Okay.
And we are just in the fourth scenario, we are verifying that only one defect can be selected, not more than one.
Okay. All right. So this is similar to the what you have for the categories
list,
right?
very
Okay.
pretty much the same, but once I select the defect, then it should be reflected in the currently selected problems.
Okay.
And the next one is the ready to ship. Here, when clicking the ready to ship, it should clear the form, and the cursor should be placed in warranty ID number field.
Okay, so you have verification. That's what it happens for ready to ship.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the information should be passed on to shipping details.
Now, what's the difference between first one and second one? So you have two arrows,
Not
right?
the first one. I'm just in the first one actually.
Okay.
Like after I click ready to ship, it should clear the form, and the cursor should go to warranty ID number, and whatever the information should be passed on to shipping details page, the F06 page.
Okay. Okay, so you have that additional information in the second scenario, but you missed one. That's what you are saying.
Yeah. So, and maybe I'll just move on to the third one then. Clicking.
Yeah. What? So there is.
And yeah, one more thing. And the cartridge status status indicator is set to ready to ship. Nowhere I think like nowhere I saw the cartridge status indicator, so I'm not sure like how to test that thing, but I need to test it.
Okay. So I think you have the, can you guys hear me okay? Because I saw some,
Yeah, now it is okay.
okay. So, I mean, you are testing ready to ship and you need to validate certain things. I think you
Mm-hmm.
broke it down into its own scenarios, those validation steps,
Mm-hmm.
which is again, I think what we discussed earlier. You can't really break it down, those verification into its own steps.
Okay.
You have to have one scenario. If you are saying, I'm doing, I'm selecting bunch of things on the page and then hit ready to ship, make sure
Okay.
you validate everything in the same scenario.
Okay. So you mean to say there is no need for the second branch? I can include it in the first branch itself?
Yeah, I mean, second, third, fourth, I'm just looking at the fourth one. Okay, so first, second, and third, I think they are all same, looks like. It's a part of the one scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Now, fourth
The
one, which says clicking ready to ship by just selecting warranty ID and not select. So that's a negative scenario that you have,
yeah,
which
and
you can
not
do it.
selecting the defects
Yes,
and categories
right,
from
right,
the yeah, that one.
right. So
And
that's the negative scenario, which you
yeah.
are not providing all the required information and see
Mm-hmm.
what happens.
Yes.
Clicking on with
And
that. So those last two are valid scenarios, but the first one you need to collapse into one.
okay.
Okay. I think that
Okay.
same discussion we had earlier for
Mm-hmm.
verification steps, you just cannot separate it. That's not gonna work for testing. You have to
Okay.
validate everything together. If I log in, I need
Mm-hmm.
to be on the home page and I need to see my home page and I need to be logged in first, basically, right? It's you can't just
Yeah.
separate it out, right? Those
Yeah.
functionality. Yeah.
Yeah. And one more thing, like, should we add like to check the inventory as well? Because I need to
Well,
check it as well, right? Like,
that's
it
where
should not add to inventory.
to inventory. I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
Once I do ready to ship, it should not go add it to inventory, correct?
Well, when you say ready to ship, but how would you validate it? That's where, as long as the next very verification step works, then you are good, right?
That's where the
Uh,
dependency comes, right? You put it in there. Where are you going to
Mm-hmm.
go for validation?
Shipping
It-
details.
Shipping details page, we go to shipping details page to verify whether it is whatever I sent is present in the shipping details.
Okay,
then
so
you
for red,
validate that, right? Yep.
what happens that if I select something, and this is for something to think about it, right? When I select something from a drop-down list by clicking those three dots, the warranty ID list shows up. I select one, put it in there, cancel it. Does it still stay in the list? One thing. Second scenario is I put selected, I do everything into ready to ship. And remember, what are the conditions for the ready to ship?
Mm-hmm.
Is it is going to submit all the information and then it's going to clear the screen. What happens if I click on three dot? Should I see that warranty ID on that list anymore or not?
Yeah, from the ready to when it is ready to ship, when I click ready to ship, it should not be in the three dots.
Right. So as you're talking about, right,
Mm-hmm.
that's the key difference between cancel versus ready to ship.
Yes.
It's not just only clearing field and going to the home page.
Mm-hmm.
So we will be testing both the cancel button, the ready to ship and process to core, all with
Right.
having partial data or no data, and then testing out the buttons and the function that it happens at.
That's what you're talking about, right?
Okay.
The scenario is what you wrote it down, as Harshal pointed it out. These are the steps in one scenario. You need to have two separate scenarios. One is with the data, one is with the no data. Obviously, with the defect list, right, you will be able to select one or more or select only one defect. So that's another variations.
Yeah, so I think C is going to collapse first, second, and third into one. And
Right.
then last two are independent scenario because they are no data type of thing or missing data
Right.
type of on the
Yeah.
ready to ship. So I think CC will correct it
Yeah.
from that standpoint, right?
Right.
Yeah. And
Yeah. It's the
just
same
next slide.
pattern, right?
Yeah.
It's not that like it's you guys understood what needs to be done for one scenario, right? And you have those details, but now flip it and say, what is the other scenario?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, if you can move on to the other one, I think they
Next
should
slide.
be similar to ready to ship.
Yeah,
I
it
think
is almost similar to ready to
right,
ship,
right.
process to core and parts
Yep,
recovery.
because it's a
Except
pattern,
for
right? I mean,
Right.
same pattern you are following. So you
except
can,
for it should go back
yeah,
to inventory, and this one shouldn't go back
yep.
to, and rest are the same.
That's
I'll
correct.
collapse the first three and do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you know
Yeah.
what the correction needs to be made, I think,
Yes.
on this one, right?
And
You guys can flush it out, basically,
okay.
as a team and work through that. Yep. Your
Okay.
screen is smaller. I mean, and so forth. So yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So let's
And
quickly
then
review. I think the last one, I want to make sure Anjali's to get a chance to review it. And I think it's following similar pattern. So whatever we will discuss, it will apply to the admin screens. Okay, whoever has the admin screens. Okay, so if you can stop sharing, I'll give a chance to Anjali to present it. And I think it's the same pattern. So whatever we discuss with her, I think she should be valid for all other admin modules. So Anjali, are you there?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to share your screen for that
Yes.
particular module, admin codes and parameter list, right? That's what you have. And if you have a screen open as well, I think that would be good.
Can you see my screen now?
Yes, so receiving we already discussed, right, Anjali? So hopefully you have something similar. But if you go to the admin codes and parameter list, because that's where we can see what you have put together.
Okay. For this one, I have tested add new value button,
Okay.
code type, filter, and edit.
Okay.
The first one is add new value button. There are two. When I click on add new value, it will be like two scenarios: navigate the user to the admin code and parameter detail page, or did not navigate to the user to the admin code and parameters page.
So if the positive fails, right? So
Yeah.
you are expecting, if I click on add new button, it needs to take me to the new admin codes and
Yes.
parameters page, detail page.
Yes.
If that fails, that means you did not navigate to the admin codes and page, right?
Yes,
So the
that's why.
second one is a duplicate. Okay.
Yeah, that's
no
why
need.
I said no
Okay.
need. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Okay. The second one, it's filter button.
Okay.
When you click on filter button, it should filter the information which is provided in the code type, and it should display in the it's in the type button.
Sure.
Type
Okay.
field. So filter information and reflect the filter information, and did not filter the information and reflect all the information here.
Okay, so you don't need that, right? But how would you verify that its information is being displayed properly? Is there anything you need to do something special? Do you have to have a code type selected?
Yes, I have the different.
No, but what if I don't select a code type and click on filter? Is it possibility?
Okay, yeah, I got it. No, I do not have, but I do understand what are you trying to say.
Right,
because no data, right? Filter with data, filter with no data.
Because it's not a required field. It sounds like it's not a required, so they may not select it. So what would be the behavior? You need to test it.
Okay. Yes. Okay, I got it.
Right.
So like,
and the second part is, do you have any scenario that validates what needs to be listed in the code type? in the code type drop down?
Yeah. I do have this one.
Okay, code type drop down. Okay, gotcha. So
Code
display
type-
all code type.
Yeah. Once you click on this arrow, it should display all the code types, or it should not display all code types. Once this one is done, you don't need this one. But once it's clicked on and display all the codes, you should select one of them and populate that in the type field.
Okay, now where are you getting the list of all the code types? What does it mean it display all the code types? Where is it coming from?
I think I don't know. I don't have any idea.
Okay, so that's a question, because you don't know where it's coming from, or what code types are defined, or where it's defined, right? So that's discussion you can work with the business analyst to figure out what would be the code types in the system, or designer as well, because sometimes developer will define all different codes type in the system. So that needs to be available to you in order to test that functionality. Okay, without that you cannot execute your test case.
So right now, for testing this test, what I need to do, what I need.
You need a clarification of what are the code types. It says is like conversion type, it shows, but I don't see anywhere, right? It says any code type. If you go to the definition of that field.
Yeah.
Drop down list. No, it's that's algorithm. But if you go to the actual field, just stop there. Yep. All values for this field include all any code type previously defined in the application. What does it mean previously defined? You don't have a list. Okay,
Yes.
so but you need to make sure all the code types are defined. So you need to get clarification. All I'm saying is it's not a complete for you unless you talk to the developers or business analyst.
Yeah, I get your point, but right now we don't have any business in it, so
right.
What I need to do,
So you need to ask us. We are acting as the
that's why
business,
I'm asking
right?
you what I.
So it will be provided by the developers, basically. Generally, what happens is in the design process, they will identify what things they can put, basically, change, because it's a design process. That the system, there could be multiple things they'll be defining and storing into the backend database, all different code types. But they cannot, somebody cannot add it on the fly. Okay, so they will provide you a list of these code types at that point. Basically, once they go through the design, they will come up with the list, and it will be in the design document at that point. Okay, so here your scenario is fine. You mark it, basically you document it, but then you go back to the developers and get the actual code types for verification. Okay, so let's move on.
But right now you are my business analyst. I have to ask you, right? When you are saying you need to ask developer what, like, where for validating this one, where I can find the data.
So this is a requirements document, right? So there will be a design document. So developers will include in the design document what are the predefined code type. What does the predefined code type mean? They will include list of code types in the design document, basically, and that's where you need to pull it from. So at this point, you cannot do anything because there is no design here.
Yeah, that's what my question is.
Right. So you need to wait till the design document, basically, design is done, and then you come back and revise your test case afterwards.
Okay. Then this edit button, it navigates the user to the code parameters, admin and code parameters page.
Okay.
And in the negative cases, it did not take the user to the admin and code parameters page.
Is it all it's saying, take it to the codes and parameters page?
Yes.
The second part is pre-populated with the associated record.
So what does it mean?
Does anybody know what it means? If I click on some edit for certain record, What does it mean there when we say pre-populated with the information from the associated record?
So whatever the record that we are clicking on, whatever information is there, those fields get filled up with the information.
Well, not just those information, but the whole record will be displayed, because the whole purpose is to edit that record, right? Edit meaning modify the information, right? So when you click on edit button for the rate conversation type and the active whatever the first record, right? Then that record needs to be displayed with all the fields, because here it shows only 3 fields. It could have 10 different fields basically, and you should be able to edit the record. So you need to have that in the verification step, or basically navigate user to the admin codes and parameters, and information is pre-populated with the selected record. Okay, so that's the verification part is missing. Second verification is missing for that. So you're verifying 2 things. Takes you to the page, and then you need to have pre-populated basically screen being displayed.
Okay.
All right.
Then on this screen, I'm testing save, delete, and cancel button.
Okay.
For the save, when you click on save, it saves the information and navigates the user to the code and parameter list page. Or it did not save the information and take you to the codes and
well,
parameters.
the negative, there is no negative one, right? If the
Yes.
first one fails, that means you don't have the other one. Now here, is it all only scenario you have?
Yes.
Who else can anybody think of anything else for the save button? What should we be testing? You just leave that on the screen here.
We can do blank and also the all type and value and description edit and save.
Right, so you have a blank, nothing is selected. Can I save the information, right? Or when I do all the required fields, can I save the information, right? So you need to have at least bare minimum 2 on the save always.
Okay.
Because you will always have something missing, you shouldn't be able to save. You always have everything filled out properly, you should be able to save and verify, hey, everything is saved. Okay. Now again, conversation type drop down list, make sure it's showing up properly, right? So there is additional scenario you can do and so forth. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So you have save, delete, and cancel. Now, are you going to write different scenarios for save, delete, and cancel at the top and bottom? Or are you going to have one scenario?
We have to do different scenarios. Like for save, we have to delete for 2 and cancel for 2. But it's probably the same. It's just saving and navigating the field. When you have it filled the information, it saves and navigate. If nothing is there, it's save, and the same thing that you said for the delete and cancel as well.
Right. Now, why you need to write separate scenarios?
Because in save, it's the information is getting saved, and delete it's on the
No, I'm talking about this
what
two
Harshal
save
is saying. Yeah, there is save button at the top, save button at the bottom. Why do you have to do 2 different scenarios?
No.
Can anybody think of anything? Why
So
you need to?
we should make sure that the top save and the bottom save should be working properly.
And they should working exactly same way.
Same.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because developer sometimes forgets to put some logic in the top save versus the bottom save. That happens. That's very common scenario. They'll click the buttons, but it doesn't do anything sometimes.
Can you explain why here we have 2 saves, 2 delete, and 2 cancel button?
Yeah, so think around, right? This is not a very big screen. What is the functionality? It's a touch screen, right? So you had a keypad in a lot of screens that pops up. So think about if I'm an agent or I'm a person who is kind of managing the cartridge inventory, I'm trying to create an admin code, right? A lot of times, if I'm already filled it and I'm towards the bottom of the screen, you don't want me to scroll back up to the top of screen just to hit the save button, or vice versa. So that's why they're providing those two capabilities. Often, like it's you have a touch screen at one place, and then you have a hotkeys that you do it in the other one.
Okay. So do we need to do 2 times?
You should be doing testing, yes, to make sure everything at the top save is exactly the same functionality as the bottom save.
Okay.
I have a question. So how do we distinguish between the top and bottom when we write a test cases?
Just write it as the top save button, bottom save button.
Okay. Thank you.
Because remember, even when you do the automated test and everything, those are two different elements. Even though it says both say save.
They will have different IDs as well. Yep.
Okay, I think I'm done with this, but I do have a question with the receive. Can I pull up?
Yes, go ahead.
Here it says process another and it says turn. So there are 2 different keys, but does process another is for when we are receiving the cartridges from the same customer?
Well, look at the definition of what happens when you click on that event. It'll tell you the answer. Right? No, those are the buttons. Scroll down. Right? So what happens on EOS 6 versus what happens on EOS 7 versus what happens on EOS 8?
Yeah, I think we clarified this in the last Saturday session as well, basically. So if it from the same customer, I think so it will not clear out some customer because that's not mentioned here. Okay, so the customer information remains same, or basically those type of fields will remain there, but they will be able to enter new PO number and other things, basically couple of other fields.
That means
It's just for the user convenience. Okay, I mean, why they are doing that? Because they don't want to type it in again, certain things.
That
That's
means
the
when
reason.
we are receiving the different cartridges from the same customer at the
That's
same
correct.
time. That
Not
time
say
will be
cartridges, it's the skeyed packet. So they might send 3
oh, sorry.
boxes.
Yeah, boxes, sorry.
Right.
When we have
So
from the same customer,
right.
one skid, one
Yep.
case, you can use process.
That's correct. So shipping number, tracking number, and PO number might be different. But the quantity will definitely be wiped out because it's a different box, and they might have different quantities. So in the box. Okay.
Okay, thank you. I think I'm good now.
Yeah.
Can
All
I
right.
stop sharing?
Yes. You can stop sharing. Let's. I think we did not miss anybody. Looks like all 4 teams.
But we didn't get a chance to finish ours, Akshal.
So we will work. You guys will have a chance on. But I think we provided you a lot of feedback. So go back to what you guys have done, and we'll get a chance to work on it on Saturday. Okay, you guys will get a chance to work on it, and we'll review one more time on Saturday once you guys plus it out. I think team number 1, or which are Subhangi and Roger and other folks. Looks like your scenarios are laid out properly, so you might be a little bit ahead with than the other teams. Okay, but again, I would expect everyone to flush out. If you get a chance, maybe tomorrow. Otherwise, Saturday you will definitely work through it, flush it out, and we'll review and finalize it at that point. And if you are done early on Saturday, so you guys will work on move on to the next step.
So Harshal, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, so just wanted to know, when will you send us the recording of today's session?
Most likely tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning? Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. Any other question before we break here? Okay. If not, then I think we'll see you guys Saturday. Those who are coming to this classroom, I think just come 8:45. I think that's our regular timing. Okay. And otherwise, we'll guys see you guys on Saturday.
Sure. Thank you. Bye.
All right.
All
Have
right.
a good night.
Okay.
Thank you.
All
Good
right.
night, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank
Yep.
you.
All right. Okay. All right. All right.
See you on
guys.
Saturday.
All right. Bye-bye.